Howdy. Welcome to Hugo Girl. This is a very special episode.
Okay, so a fun thing happened. We got to be interviewed by our local NPR station, WABE, on a wonderful program called City Lights, and it covers arts and culture in Atlanta. And we were interviewed by their senior producer, Kim Drobes. And we had a great time, and it was lots of fun. And you can read the interview on wabe.org, or you can stream it on their website, or you can listen to the podcast version. And it was super fun. And so then after the interview aired, I was Googling us like I do, which isn't tacky.
I'm surprised you don't have a Google alert for us.
I do. I absolutely do.
Has anything ever come up?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
People say stuff.
People talk about us effectively.
I
used to be talking about us effectively.
Spoilers.
So, sorry.
After our nomination, and then also after this, I got lots of Google alerts. But I was just looking for reviews. I was like, maybe somebody's listened to it and said something. So I was Googling the podcast, and I found one of those like bot websites that scrapes content and then like modifies it so they can be like, it's not your intellectual property. And so we got like run through a thesaurus, and the results were not very accurate, but they were very funny. So we're just going to take a few minutes and do a dramatic live reading.
It's important to remember that the program is called City Lights.
City Lights, yes. And we will put a link in the show notes to the original interview, and probably not to the pirated one, because
they don't need help.
Yeah, they don't need the clicks, but you're about to hear it live. So here we go. Atlanta podcast Hugo Woman nominated for a Hugo Award of their very own by Techie Paras. Should you're a science fiction fan, you've almost definitely heard of the Hugo Awards, courting again to the early 1950s. The awards are offered in reference to the World Science Fiction Convention, and winners are declared in various classes, together with Greatest Science Fiction Novel, Greatest Comedian, Greatest Collection, Greatest Fanzine, and Greatest Fan Cast, as in podcast. Hugo Woman, an Atlanta-based fan cast, is certainly one of this year's nominees.
We certainly are.
We did it.
There's no doubt.
And forward of their journey to the awards ceremony, Hugo Woman podcasting group, Haley Zapel, Amy Sally, and Lori and Kevin Anderson joined Metropolis Lights producer Kim Drobes for a dialogue through Zoom.
A dialogue.
Interview highlights: a humorous feminist look into the sci-fi world and its pitfalls. We incessantly see, I'd say, two predominant issues, stated Lori Anderson. Primary is a whole absence of ladies in early, and never even so early, even what we might think about comparatively current works of science fiction. Perhaps there's one feminine character. She's a girlfriend, a sidekick, simply virtually a form of a clean, or somebody for the hero of the story to type of play off of.
What was clean?
I don't know.
Like a maid or a servant?
Or, in lots of instances, we simply don't see any girls in any respect. That's true. They is perhaps talked about as a part of the background. However, there are literally no feminine characters or feminine characters that don't have any type of talking function. A fantasy apologist and a fantasy true crime crossover.
A fantasy apologist. Oh, wait, we did say that.
That's actually a real thing we said.
Yeah.
Effectively, I consider everyone within the group. I'm most likely, probably, the most into swords and sorcery fantasy. I believe this podcast largely began out as an appreciation for sci-fi. However, as we have now taught Haley, along with her love for Star Wars, even science fiction could be fantasy. And so I believe I'm slowly successful everyone over, stated Sally.
I am successful everyone over. They say stated like it's a police report. And then the victim stated he had an odor of alcohol about his person. He had a black and color car.
Amy advised that fantasy can be great.
Oh, advised.
Advised. We actually needed to get Haley some publicity to Lord of the Rings. And this was undoubtedly when true crime was definitely tremendous in style. Amy and I each listened to true crime podcasts, and Haley had the very humorous concept to say, "My favorite Mordor," as a form of a pun on the favored true crime podcast.
A form of a pun.
A form of a pun on the favored true crime podcast, My Favorite Homicide. It does not work anymore. And working with that, we determined to have a look at Lord of the Rings from a true crime lens. And so we did our podcast within the type of a true crime podcast, defined Laurie Anderson.
Defined.
We characterized it as a well-known jewelry heist that had permeated the favored creativeness. And we did the entire episode in character as true crime podcasters. Misogynist moments, feminist favorites, and different segments. My favorite section is boob speak. Boob speak. And I hope I can say that on NPR, stated Sally. One of many issues that we speak about lots in our podcast is how the male gaze components into what's occurring within the ebook. So if there are books which have feminine characters, are we evaluating them on their appears earlier than we study something about them as a personality? As we go alongside within the ebook, is a number of emphasis placed on there are bodies?
Why is it an ebook all of a sudden? Why does the grammar get messed up?
Is it applicable? Is it not? In order, that's all coded in our boob speak section, and I believe that's, frankly, the place we shine.
Is it applicable? Is it not?
I want that to be the title of this episode.
No, it's gonna be my favorite homicide. Is it applicable?
Is it not?
Wait, is that a lyric from a Talking Head song? This is my beautiful wife.
This is Death Guy for Cutie now.
Is it applicable? Okay, we're almost done. I like, is it Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, stated Zapel. We've turned it into our personal little mini authorized case.
Authorized case?
For me personally, if I don't like an ebook...
ebook.
No. If I don't like an ebook, I'll attempt to make it into Lord of the Rings, even when it's not like Lord of the Rings, simply because I don't like Lord of the Rings. However, we'll have objections. We'll have cross-examinations of one another. The newest episode we did was on The Terror, which is a supernatural horror ebook primarily based on the Franklin expedition.
This is the clearest part of the entire thing. Yeah.
And I made a decision that it was Star Wars as a result of it's within the snowy Arctic. So I used to be like, effectively, that is clearly Hoth.
I used to be like that.
That is clearly Hoth from Empire Strikes Again.
Empire Strikes Again! It should be Empire Fights Again.
There's a monster that's like a wampa. However, there have been different arguments to be made.
This is like every bad English 1101 paper.
I know. Like, in conclusion,
Hugo Woman is out there for streaming at www.hugogirlpodcast.com and Apple Podcast, Stitcher, and different main podcast platforms. The end.
Yay.
I'm surprised there weren't like an orange podcast. Fruits.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.